Okay, I'm going to do one more bookshelf video here. This one is about how to understand these books. They're hard, freaking hard to understand, especially new DMs. And it's kind of a bummer, like when you get these if you're a new DM. And then when I first got into 5e and was getting into this style, it's because it's a different style than what I was used to. And by the way, I did a D&D, yeah, like 40 years ago. And then I went off to other things, MERP, ICE, and all kinds of other role-playing games. You can see them right here, some of them. But when I got back into 5e, it was like, and looking at how they formatted everything, it was, yeah. How do you, let me just get right into it. And I just kind of went through I never DM'd this one, this thing. I never DM'd it, but I decided to just go through it because I was looking at it right now and I was going, I don't grasp this one. I don't get it. And here's how. Very easy way to understand these books because they're so thick. You know, the Storm King's Thunder one, which is I'm about to finish, it's just so, there's so much stuff in there. And it's like crazy, right? How are you, I mean, just look at that. Just, really? Really? You're going to like read through all this and get it and then DM it and then wherever they want to go, you're just going to go to that section and go, oh yeah, let's play it. Right off the bat. You know what I mean? No, it's not going to happen. It's going to give you a headache and you're just confused and you're frustrated and I get it. And yes, these are written really in a difficult manner, I would say, to DM. Now, how do you do it so that you can understand it? Well, here's one thing. If I read this, say from book cover to cover, I'm going to forget everything in the first half by the time I get to the second half, especially because there's a confusion in your mind. So you gotta clear out that confusion. How do you do that? Okay, very simple, very simple. Read the ending. Always go to the end of every adventure. Find every adventure. Go to the end. Figure out the climax. Figure out what is the win and lose at the very end. Do that, because then. Oh, you're going to know everything. You're going to know the entire story. Like, what's the goal? What's the conclusion? You're going to know who the enemy is. And I'm going to do a spoiler alert on this one. I don't know if your players are watching this. But so obviously there's two here. But it's one book, really. So you go to the end. You figure out that, they want to summon Tiamat. And in order to do that, they got to amass a treasure hoard. They got to get a bunch of human sacrifices or whatever. A bunch of races to sacrifice. And they got to get the 5 masks. Oh, okay. And they're going to go to the well of the dragon to do it all and gather the forces and all that. Oh, okay. So that's what they're doing. And so there. So now you get it. So when you start reading this, you will then understand what in the first one, it's a big battle. They took a village and killed them all. And if you try to read that, if you start there as a DM and to understand the campaign, you're going to be like, why do they do this? What is going on? I mean, it does tell you some overview at the beginning, but you really should read the end of every campaign. I mean, they do a sort of a beginning understanding of it all, but just go to the end, read the first couple pages where they do a overview. But I never, even though I read, I just never get it until I go to the very end and see the mechanics of the ending with all the villains and all the whatever they got to do. So that's what you got to do. And then when you go to then when you go to each section of each adventure, read the ending. Read the ending of that section. Like, for instance, in this one, they go get one of the masks. I'm like, if they get the mask, then one of the masks, then how are you going to find masks at the end? And then if you just read the ending, you say, oh, it's a fake mask. Oh, so it's like a decoy mask, and they go, oh, okay. So then you read that adventure, and then as you're plotting out your DM thing, the flow is that they can go ahead and get the mask and get whatever, and that's a decoy. So you get the flow of it by knowing the ending first. I think that sometimes they do it, sometimes they don't. I'm not sure, but I don't recall a consistency. But you never really know until you never really grasp it, until you read the ending. But by then you're so unsure of what's going on that when you get to the ending, you forgot what you just read. So go to the end, figure it out. Just figure out the ending of the whole thing, and then of each section, of it all. Then you can kind of place everything however you want. So you get the grasp of it all. Yeah, so this is like, they need the treasure and you get the masks. And so each section has to deal with that. It has to deal with that, whatever that flow is. So, for instance, in the Storm King's Thunder, what is it? It's Imroth, the ancient. So DMs only. Emerald, the Ancient Blue Dragon, is working with Slocrathel to destroy the ordning of the giants and get them all to wreak havoc on the Sword Coast, whatever. So that's and then what is the climax? Okay, they got to go to her place in the desert, attack her, kill her, and end her plotting. And then Slocrathel, do they kill him or not? It doesn't have to. Just weakens him. He doesn't really know what to do after that. So you got to understand all that as you're reading from the beginning, so you know what you need to do. And here's another very important thing about all that too, is that as you're reading the beginning, you'll start getting you'll start placing your plot points in there, because you want to place premonitions or whatever it's called, where foreshadowing, where they're going to encounter stuff that's going to foreshadow future events, like me encountering Slocrathel, and encountering the ordning broken up, and then Imrit. You want to keep building up that foreshadowing, but the only way you can do that is if you've got the ending all in your head. You get it, you know what's going to happen, and then that's going to help you build up the front. And foreshadowing and putting in plot points along the way that give them clues is really just a gasper, and that's what you want once in a while with your players, is to give them a go. I gave them like early on, like the boat, the gambling casino where they got the Grey Goose coin. I gave them that early on. They didn't think much about it, and then when I finally at the very end, they're like, I mean, it's in the book to do that, but. But I had I did change it by moving the boat down to the Hill Giant campaign, because I knew it was at the ending, a part of the ending. So I knew to put that in the beginning and put it in a place where they would encounter it. See. So when you know that, to put stuff at the beginning that correlates to the end, and that when it comes full circle like that, that's like for the players. So that's what you want. I'm not going to repeat that performance anyway. So that's what you got to do. Okay, so these big massive ones like this, you just read the ending, get the ending down, and then you can really do some foreshadowing. And like Curse of Strahd, obviously the finale is knowing Strahd, and knowing his character and really understanding him, how he would play, or how you would play him, and then have him encounter them throughout the adventure, that kind of thing, and then what his powers are, and what he can do, how he can fight them or not fight them, and then escape and all that. The other thing is, so when I suggested in my first video or the other video that the essentials and then the Tales from Yon the Portal thing, that one you don't really necessarily have to do it, because each of them is so small, and it's just a fun sort of linear adventures. And to me, that's perfect too. I love those. Those are fun for DM, really, because there's minimal prep, and you don't have to necessarily. I mean, you want to read through the whole thing, get a feel for the dungeons and how you just want to place them. And another thing I suggest too is don't have an alert system anymore, alarm system like that. We used to definitely be concerned about that early on in my early experience, and then I get a sense of it when I read up on it and stuff. People talking about it. Don't just like I'm making it now to where when they go into a fort or a place with giants, that they're loud, they're rambunctious, and when you fight some giants in one room in the kitchens, a bunch of giants over here are not going to come. Or if they do, they're not going to alert everyone else. You don't want this thing where it's just a constant. Every time they go in and fight. I mean, you do want them to play. This is a tangent, but anyway, you do want them to play smart, right? But at the same time, it's almost like every dungeon is like that, and you just have to let them deal with it in pieces. So separate them out like that, so that some will come, perhaps, but not the whole fort, not a whole thing, And it could be a thing of pride and ego too. Like they don't want to alert them. A bunch of little people are there. They need to take care of them themselves. They get angry if they can't, or stupid or whatever, or they don't think about it. And a lot of them probably are so prideful they don't even have an alarm system. Giants especially. I wouldn't. They don't care. They don't think they need to alarm each other because they're big and powerful. And to me, the same thing with goblins. They don't really have an alarm system because I think hobgoblins are the exception. Hobgoblins, I think, are martial, evil armies that are trained to, so there could be. So that's part of their thing. but not but I would sort of remove that alarm system type thing from every most of the dungeons or fortresses that are sort of hobnobbed together by evil monsters and villains and stuff. Okay, so that was just a quick little video on just how you, as a new GM, can really grasp these just voluminous, tiny fonts. With every page has what, like 40 or 30 references to other things, to go look at this creature, go look at that chart, go look at the rule or whatever. So again, read the ending, totally understand the ending, figure out that part, kind of read back even further, make sure you know what links to what at the very end to the ending, and then when you read the beginning, okay, I get it, and then you want to play some stuff around there to do the foreshadowing. Okay, so that's my advice on how to prepare these things, or how to research these things, much less prep them, but really how to research it and get the flow of the story for yourselves. Because some of these I don't even know the endings to, and I'm like, I look at them and go, I don't know anything about that because I don't know the ending. If I know the ending, I'll like, oh yeah, okay, then I get it. So that's my advice for you if you get one of these and you want to do one of these massive ones, is to read the ending first, get that down. Don't feel guilty. Go to the end. Hear the DM. Get to the end first. Read that, and then research the rest. All right. I'm now repeating myself over and over. So that's my coffee. So that's it. Okay. Thanks for listening. That was a quick little video on how to do that thing. Yeah, I hope that helped. Okay.